Okay, today we are going to discuss about UX design process. So actually last week I covered all these sections. We introduced you to UI and UX design, and then we talked about US process. Uh, we are talking about it today, and the next week we are going to uh, keep like presenting about it more in more detailed view. And in the fourth session, we will be doing more UI design using Figma. And finally, in the final session, I'm going to give you a few tips about how to become a successful UI and UX designer or an engineer. These were the topics we covered last week. We talked about what is UI and UX job salaries in the industry, and essential UI and UX technical skills and how to improve, and how to think like a UX designer, and what is UX portfolio and how to build. So I think everyone got the slides from their Google Classrooms, and you can ask any questions if you have regarding the previous session. Okay. Let's start today's session then. So we are going to talk about UX design process. So these are the topics we are going to cover today in the lecture number 2. We are first going to talk about what is UX process and methods used, and then how to apply the UX design process practically, and then what is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking, then user interviews and competitive analysis, number 5, creating personas, and finally, creating user flows. So all these steps are important if you want to uh, create a successful UX design project. So if you skip one of these steps here and there, it will affect your final product. So it won't be user friendly. You haven't had a good understanding about your final users. So you have to go with the process and follow each and every step of it to create a successful physical or a digital product for the market. Okay, what is your design process? How do you start the design? So if I ask someone in our classroom this question, how are you going to describe it? So let's say we have two people here. Purnima, can you tell me what is your design process right now? Let's say a client give you a requirement to build a website. So how are you going to approach? How are you going to get started? Hello. Anyone can answer, even Vijayamala, Duvindu, or anyone can answer. What is your normal design process right now? If you get a requirement from a client, how are you going to approach and how are you going to get started with the design? You can send a message if you like on Zoom chat. Okay, the normal process would be you get the requirement from the client and okay, discuss with the client first. Uh, that is answer from Pruduma. Okay, we have to discuss with the client. So I was telling that we get the requirement from the client and we discussed with him already. The next thing, most of us, if you don't have a UX experience or UX, if you haven't studied UX, you will directly go into the design. So as UX designers, we don't do that. So we have to follow each and every piece of these steps to make it a good UX design. So let's start with the process. So what is UX design process? A UX design process is an iterative, step-by-step methodology UX teams use to complete projects. So when you get the requirement, you have to study about your users. And that is studying about users is doing in the empathize step. So after you empathize with your users, end users, and stakeholders of your project or app, then you are going to define project goal. So in that step, you are going to define what the success goals for this particular project. How client see the success. For example, how much revenue they want to make, how much conversion rate they want to have after launching this application. Even we ask questions from our users. How easy is it easy to navigate through the application? How you experience it? Is it easier for you to accomplish your task using this particular application when comparing to others, and so on. Then we ideate. So ideation process is after we define in project goals and project requirement, we ideate using prototypes. Especially, we start off with the wireframes, pencil and paper wireframes, to ideate what we have already gathered. And then from that ideation, we go to low fidelity prototype. Low fidelity prototype is somewhat similar to wireframe, but it has all the elements, all the hierarchy and information architecture, the way that data should represent in your final product. So as mentioned in the process, this is a iterative process. You have to go back and forth. You have to fine tune your wireframes and then again come back and do your low fidelity prototype and so on. So after we do the low fidelity prototype, after we get client and users feedback, we have to come up with a high fidelity prototype, which is the final prototype we are going to give our development team or present to users as our final design product. Then finally, after the prototype, we are going to test it with real users. We are going to gather few people, at least 5 to 10 people, and we are going to test our product with these different users who we understand as our end users of this particular product. So here is the process in detail. Number one, we have to understand the problem existence. Most of the time in this place, we understand why we need to create an application. So if you have an application, if you have a project idea or a project proposal from a client, if you don't know why you are going to develop this application, it is not a good scenario to start with. So you first have to understand why we are doing this project and for whom, and you have to understand those things before you start a product. Then research phase. So when you have a good understanding about the problem's existence, then you can research about that particular project or any competitors. You can conduct surveys, interviews, find out competitor details. So interviewing is also have to do by the UX designer. So if you are a UX researcher, if you're good with people, if you have good communication skills, you can become a UX researcher where you have to interact with people and get their feedback about particular product and interview them and develop personas based on their feedback or conversations. So research phase also really important Because if you do a good thorough research, you will get insights about how users will interact, what is the market requirement, what users require, what are other competitors have, how we can use the good features other competitive applications have in our application. You can easily go to competitors like Google Play Store, Apple App Store, and if it is a mobile app, you can read their reviews. What are these applications lacking? Why people like these? Why people spend their time on these in regular basis? So you will get a good insight about how to develop your application and get more users to your application as well. So after doing the understanding and research phase, we have to analyze all this data we gathered. So in this phase, we have to conduct, uh, analyze the raw information found using the research phase and using competitor analysis, creating personas, customer journey maps. So after research phase, we have to analyze all the data we gathered. We analyze data in the sense of we create personas. Personas is kind of like this. So for the application, I'm interviewing someone, let's say named Tom. So Tom is has a background. So he let's say he's a student. He's 25 years old and he's a postgraduate student. And the application we are going to design is ride sharing app. So we are asking him questions about how are you going to use this application? What are other ride sharing applications you are using currently? What are the good things about those applications? What do you find are the difficulties about those applications? And how are you going to use this application in daily basis? What are the things you expect? So those are good questions to ask in your interview process. So based on those, we are creating personas. So persona generation, we are going to discuss it in detail later. And then we are going to create customer journey maps. Journey map is also uh, related to personas. So we start with one process. So let's say Tom. So he take the phone every day morning and he want to travel to his university. So he take the phone and open the app and put the destination as the university. Then he uh, looking for riders and book a trip. So that is his journey map. So you have to create those kind of journey maps for different users who you interview and who you think that are good in users for your platform. And then after analyzing, we are going to do the wireframes. So after analyzing all these data, after creating personas and customer journeys or affinity maps or anything, then we are going to do wireframes in using pencil and paper. So in these wireframes, we are not going to go into in detail about how the UI look like, but we are going to put all the data we gathered and we are going to follow information architecture, how information should represent in our screens, and also the hierarchy of texts or search boxes, and every element we are going to put in our screen should be there in the wireframes. So after creating these wireframes, we are sending them for feedback. We are getting feedback from actual users and also from the client regarding uh, the design we follow. So as this is an iterative process, so whenever you get a feedback from a client, you have to again fine tune your wireframe and again send back and forth for the review. And finally, if you have a final streamlined wireframe, you can start off with the low fidelity prototype where we design our elements in more presentable way than just a pencil and paper sketch. So again, this is an iterative uh, process. So after even creating the low fidelity wireframe, you have to still get feedback from the clients and users. Because in the user-centric design, you have to involve your users even from the beginning of your research and even from the beginning of your design process. So if you get feedback from them, you have to then again analyze your feedback and fine tune your design accordingly. And finally, when you do the fine tuning and everything is looking good and every stakeholders like your design, you can do the final design, which we call high fidelity prototype. So in high fidelity prototype, it is the actual design that we are going to give the developer. So your colors, your color theories, and your elements and everything should be pixel perfect in that design. So the designer, the developer can easily grab those components and code them accordingly. So that is the final product that users will going to see when you launch your product. And here, visual design and testing. In this place, we create visual designs for the application with the feedback. We have taken from the wireframes. The visual designs are again shown to the client or put them to the test again to understand the application of the solution and the roll back to the any stage of the process of implementation. So all these processes, even if they numbered in order, you have to go back and forth every time. Like if you, when you started doing wireframes, you might realize that you don't have much research data. So you have to go back and do the research more thoroughly. So this is an iterative process. So that is what you have to understand. So now we are going to discuss about each of these steps in normal design thinking process, UX design process, I'm sorry. So here, what is empathize? Empathizing is understanding your users. Uh, in here, we are going to understand about what problems your users might have, what they need, what they expect from your application, what they think about your application, what are the problems in the existing apps. So if you uh, want to design a good UX application, you have to follow these steps in your empathize stage. So let's say we are going to develop a banking application like we discussed in the first session. And so we have to interview few people who are going to use our banking application, and we have to ask questions. What are the problems you face when you are using your present application? So they might say the user flow is kind of hard. You have to input so many information before sending money to someone, and it is really hard uh, and time-consuming process. And then they will say, if I ask what they need, they will say they want to send money quickly without so many roadblocks or so many interactions. So we have to streamline the user flow based on that and what they expect from your app. So if they consider about the speed or time they spend on the application, they are expecting your application to be more streamlined and more faster and also have less steps to go to the end goal. End goal is the sending money to someone. So then again, what they think about your application. So if you already come up with a wireframe or high fidelity prototype, if you give them to test it, and then you can ask, what do you think about the application? Is it good? Is it bad? What are your feedback? What areas do you think we can improve? What are the things we can left in our initial release? What are the most important things you uh, think that should have in our application? So those are the things we can ask to get like empathize with our users, understand their requirement. What are the problems in the existing apps? So all these questions are like similar and depending on each other. So if you ask this question, they will tell that most of the applications we have like longer process to send money, and also some of them are really slow, and you don't have much visualization of your data. You can't easily follow your monthly budget and so on. So those are the problems that users facing, they might tell you in the empathize phase. So in order to empathize with users, we are doing it in different approaches. This is a user interview. As I said earlier, we are conducting interviews. So one thing we can do is we can invite users to our own office premises, or we can just go there and follow them, follow their daily routine and get understanding about when and where they are using this application. So it is a good way to do is rather than inviting them to your own office premises. So for example, let's say we are doing a Salesforce applications. I'm telling about one of my earlier projects. So in order to design a Salesforce mobile application, we can't just invite them to office and interview them. We can do that, but it is not really very practical. So what we did was we went to their like Salesforce people. They go everywhere. So they uh, give inventories to different provinces and different states. They are sending them abroad. So we have to follow them and interview them and look what they are doing in their job. So we are uh, interviewing them when they're doing the job. So we can easily understand what are the things that we should focus and what are the things we have to consider when we are developing application, and we can ask them questions afterwards. How do you think that you can improve this process? What are the things that you want in this application, and so on? What are the problems you're facing when you are doing your job currently? So those are the questions we ask in user interviews. So these are some interview questions. So if let's say we are going to design a bicycle tracking app. So these are the interview questions we are going to ask our users. So we can ask, why do you ride a bicycle? And then we can ask, what do you expect from a bicycle tracking app? Do you use any other bicycle tracking app? If it is yes, what are they? What are the problems in that app? What features you need to have in your app? So number one, why do you ride a bicycle? So if we ask this question from different people, they might say, one person might say for the health. So they want to exercise, so that is why they are taking bicycle. And another might say they want to be eco-friendly and they want to lower their carbon footprint. So that is why they are taking bicycle. And another person might say he want to lower the costs he spent on gasoline or any other public transport. So that is why he's riding bicycle. And another person might say the place he's working is very close to their house. So that is it is easier for him to take the bicycle rather than taking a car or a taxi. And another person might say that their office premises don't have parking, so for his car. So that is why he's taking bicycle. So there are many use cases. You can ask questions from different people. They will answer you differently. So you have to gather all these information and analyze them in your analyzing process. Number two, what do you expect from a bicycle tracking app? So especially people who ride bicycle for fun or a health benefits, they want to track their heartbeat, how many calories they burn. So in that case, bicycle riding app, tracking app will be really important for them. So they can use their wearables such as Apple Watch or Samsung or Android Watch to track their BPM or calories and put this information in the bicycle tracking app as well. So they can easily analyze how many miles, how many kilometers should I travel daily to burn this specific amount of calories. So it will help them to analyze and pre-plan their journeys. And if you take another person uh, who live closer to their office premises, he might say that he want to see that how much uh, time, like how easy, how fast he can get his office premises by using this application. So those are the answers we can expect for the second question. Do you use any other bicycle tracking app? If it is yes, what are they? So we have always have to ask the competitors and their current status. So they might say that they are using application, and then uh, for the fourth questions, they will tell you what are the problems they are facing with this application. Let's say problem one might be they don't have much features. so they can't track their uh, calorie burning or heart BPM or anything. So those are good features that you should implement in your application if the users are really requesting those things from you. What features you need to have in your app? So again, we can ask for the problems they face, and then we can ask what are the features you suggest. What are the good to have features in our application if you are designing a new one. So they will answer you. Uh, let's say they want a navigation or any other particular use case for different users, navigating cycle paths and communicate with fellow cyclers. So those are good features that users might suggest. So you have to discuss with your design team and other users and also stakeholders and come up with those features and design for those features in your application, because you have to uh, develop a better application than your competitors. So this is one thing you can do to improve your application when comparing to other applications in the market. Okay, number one, why do you ride bicycle? So they might answer, I want to look fit and healthy. I want to keep track of the places I travel and improve on the time I'm spent for cycling. Then again, another person might say, I want to feel motivated while cycling. I like to share my interest in cycling with my friends and encourage them to take part while having friendly competitions with fellow cyclists. So this person might take pictures when he's riding bicycles and post it on social media and encourage other people uh, to do the same and have a competition with fellow cyclists and so on. And then this person is saying, I want to be updated with today's trends and wear decent outfits. And finally, I used to travel short distances. So those are the answers we can expect from different users, as I mentioned. What do you expect from a bicycle tracking app? So discover the best cycling routes. So even if you use Google Maps, it has cycling routes, but those are not specifically moderated, especially in countries like Sri Lanka. In US, they might have, in other countries in Europe, but we don't have much cyclists in Sri Lanka. So you have to think about those market trends as well. So if you can give streamlined cycling paths and what are the good sightseeing cycling paths, uh, you can suggest based on their requirement. That will be a good idea if you want to become a successful bicycle tracking application uh, designer. And then save and share your favorites. Get inspired to reach new cycling goals. Track your fitness with trips like record routes. Map your favorite bike trial or run. Analyze your training with all the steps. So those are some things that users will expect from a new bicycle tracking application. The third question from here is, do you use any other bicycle tracking application? If it is yes, what are they? So they will answer with all these competitor applications. So they will say that you will get to know that one application, most of the users will use, and some other applications as well. These might be geo-specific, so most of these applications are not used much in this part of the world, mostly in US or Canada or Europe. So you have to research about them as well. So what are the problems in that app? So each of these applications will have problems. So if we do a competitor analysis, we can quickly go to their Google Play Store or Apple App Store and search for this application, and users will put their reviews there. So what are the good reviews, what are the bad reviews? So you can analyze and gather data easily without even interviewing people. So if you don't have much budget, if you don't have much time to interview people regarding your application, it is a good way to start by using their Google or Apple reviews. What are the problems in that applications? So they will tell you about issues with tracking, OS compatibility, too much facts, rapid application development, trouble placing a challenge. So issues with tracking. So some of the applications won't have Google Map or tracking applications initialized. So if users want to track their bicycle paths, it will be an issue. OS compatibility. So OS compatibility mainly these days we are using iOS or Apple, so it won't be much of an issue because most of the applications support both of these platform. Even if we develop application iOS or Android native, we uh, can also follow hybrid platforms like React Native to develop one application for both of these platforms. So you have to consider about OS compatibility as well. So when you are interviewing your users, you have to understand what are the operating systems, what are the devices they have. You have to take a note of that and you have to address. You have to give features and uh, compatibility for those specific operating systems. And then rapid application development. So even uh, you gathered all this data, if you can't develop the application rapidly, let's say you gather data and you wait for 1 or 2 years to develop the application, so that market trend will go away. So you won't be able to launch your application and become successful. So for example, the market is changing every day. So you have to be quick. You have to develop your application rapidly rather than taking so much time. And then finally, trouble placing a challenge. So a person who want to challenge their friends, it will be a problem. So he is not able to place a challenge using the application. And number 5, what features you need to have in your application. These are some suggestions from users that they want in the application. Discover the best cycling routes, save and share your favorites, get inspired to reach new cycling goals, track your fitness with Trip Cycling Activity Tracker, record routes, map your favorite bike trial or run, analyze your training with all the stats, track how much you save your money and fuel by using a bicycle bicycle. So if when the users sign up, we can ask them how much money you spent last month on your transport, how much money you spent last week, and so on. But after uh, 1 week or 1 month, we can show them that this much of money you save, this much of calories you burned comparing to last time, this much of time you saved by riding a bicycle. So you can show those statistics to them as well by bicycle paths. So they might suggest one application to do all these bicycle related tasks. Use the short distance travels. Keep a to-do list as reminders. So all these things that users will suggest, but as a UX designer, you need to understand what are the uh, most important tasks that users need to do. So if you are putting all these features, it will not be a good application. You have when you are launching your application for the first time, we called it a minimum viable product. So you have to understand what are the minimum viable tasks that users will require in order to take this to market and uh, make it successful. So don't try to satisfy every user in your initial launch of the application. Then we are going to talk about competitive analysis. If you have any questions up until now, you can ask in Zoom chat or by switching on your microphone. Okay, no questions. Competitive analysis. What is competitive analysis? So I mentioned it earlier, roughly. So one of the critical steps when developing a new product is finding out where you stand with the competition. Competitive analysis is a necessary part of the design process to help businesses gain valuable insight into the market, identify the strengths and weaknesses of their products, and develop effective product strategies to create winning results. So, as I mentioned, it is one of the crucial steps when developing a new product. So, let's say we are again taking the same example. You are creating a banking application. So, you may have to download all the banking applications that exist in the market currently, and you have to analyze them, how user friendly they are, how you can improve, and you can ask users who use those applications in daily basis questions such as how uh, do you find it easier to transfer money? What are the tasks you do daily basis? What are the things that you need to think should be improved? And you can ask these questions by you from users. You can also follow their social media platforms or their Twitter handles, as well as their Apple Store or Google Play Store reviews, to get a good understanding about what are the problems users face and how users like their applications and so on. And competitive analysis is necessary part in design process. So it will help to get valuable insights about the market and how users interact with these particular domains. So it is a good practice to follow. You always have to do competitive analysis. Why conduct competitive analysis in UX design? So these are the reasons why we conduct competitive analysis in UX design. Number one is assess where your product or design stands in the market. Define any gaps in the market. Know the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. Identify the advantages and disadvantages of your products. Have evidence to back up your design changes. Help you solve usability issues. So, number one, assess where product or design stand in the market. So, if you analyze up to 5 to 10 banking applications, so you can easily say that uh, when comparing people's reviews, this is the worst application and this is the most likable application that people suggest. So you can easily then analyze what is our uh, number, what is where we stand. Are we in the middle, or are we in lower part, or are we in the top 2 or 3? So you have to have a competitor data to make that guess. Define any gaps in the market. So next one, you can ask users, or you can see yourself that you can achieve all the goals. For example, let's say whether you can pay a bill using mobile application, or is it easier? Can you add your beneficiaries? Can you save a list of beneficiaries in your mobile application? So if most of the applications don't have those features, if we implement those features, and if users requesting you to design that kind of application, you are filling a market gap. So more users will come to your application comparing going to other competitor applications. Know the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. So easy way to do is you can interview people who use this application in daily basis, and also you can search for their Google or application reviews. So you can understand their strengths and weaknesses of the uh, applications uh, and user flows. Identify the advantages and disadvantages of your products. So by comparing to these and by gathering all these data, you can analyze what are the advantages in our application when comparing to some other. What are the disadvantages we have when comparing? Again, you can compare and analyze those applications and your applications based on those criteria. have evidence to back up your design changes. So when you do the design, every time when you do a user interview, when if you are a UX designer in a design team, and the client might ask you, why did you choose this color and not this color? Why did you have a search bar here? And why are you using so much elements in same page? So those questions will be asked from you by the client or stakeholders or investors of the application. So if you do a thorough research about competitors, you can easily answer uh, what users like and what users don't like, and this, you can rationalize your choice of design based on those competitive analysis. And finally, helps you solve usability issues. So if you have a good understanding about users and competitors, it will help you to uh, address usability issues even from the first step of your application design process. Here we are going to talk about steps to do a UX competitive analysis. Number one, outline your goals and define your product. So in the first step, we talked about here. Uh, we talked about empathize. Then we are going to talk about define now. So in the define, okay, outline your goals and define your product. Compile a list of your direct and indirect competition. Create a comparison chart of the competitors' product features. Identify the difference between products, summarize and present your findings. So I can show you one example which I did earlier. So this is one application I did for uh, one SME in US. So his product is to give discounts for users. It is geolocation based app. So if you are walking towards a shop or any particular store, if they have discounts there, your phone will show that particular discount. So they can easily collect the discount coupon or buy whatever they want. And uh, do their task accordingly. So we first did a user research and then competitor analysis on what are the competitors face, and finally you have to come up with this kind of a, map, mind map or a sketch where you can easily gather information by just looking at it. So that is another thing that mentioned here. So you can outline goals and define your product, compile the list of direct and indirect competition, create a comparison chart of the competition's product features, identify the differences between products, summarize and present your findings. So by carrying out all these steps, finally you have to create a report or a visual presentation where you can present your findings to team of your designers, developers, stakeholders, clients, and everyone. So everyone will understand what is the design choices you made, and you can rationalize them with them. So these are creating personas. So in personas, we are interviewing with different users. So let's say we are interviewing 5 people, and these 5 people using your application for 5 different use cases. So let's say uh, one person is using it. Okay, let's say the mobile banking application again. One person is using it to pay his utility bills, electricity bill, telephone bill, and so on. Another person might be a office worker. He is using it to pay salaries to his employees. And another person might be an executive director. He will using a mobile application to invest in different stock markets and so on. And another person, he might be a seller. He is using this application to get paid for his deliveries or orders. And finally, there will be another user use case and user persona. So what is user persona? User personas are archetypical users whose goals and characteristics represent the needs of a larger group of users. Usually a persona is presented in one or two page document. So we interview these people, or these are archetypical users whose goals and characteristics represent the needs of larger group of users. So we won't be able to interview each and every user of this application. So that is why we are creating personas. We are thinking these are main characteristics of that one particular user group who are using this application. And we create a persona for them. So if I show you a persona, let's say here, okay, this is a persona I created during this AR filter design process. So on left hand side, we are putting their name, not a real name, but we are interviewing real people. We are putting a random name, and then we are going to mark his demographic, age, gender, social status, education, and what are the qualities and what are their frequently used applications, and what they do recently or regularly. And these are their main basic bio, goals, frustrations, and motivations. So you can understand this particular user easily. And even when you share these personas with your team, the team members can also relate to different users. Let's say this user's name is Sarah. So when you are designing the application, you can think, will Sarah like this feature? Will, if there's another person called Tom, will Tom like this feature? And how will he become frustrated by seeing this feature? So you can easily identify different users and address their issues by designing personas for each and every user group you interview. Why are user personas important? It will help you to build empathy, provide direction for making design decisions, communicate research findings. So it is rather than having large scale users without their names or just characteristics or this the requirement, if you can create a persona with a picture and give a name, it will help you to build empathy with different users rather than just following the numbers or characteristics. And then provide direction for making design decisions. It also help you to uh, direct yourself and the team to come up with better design decisions when you are designing mobile application. And finally, communicate research finding. If you want to communicate with your fellow team or competitors, or not a competitors, clients, you can easily tell their name. So the competitor clients or team members and everyone involved in application development know this user, and it will be easier for them to communicate as well. Here is creating a user persona. Uh, in a persona, we have a persona name. That might be a name, name of the user, and photo. Demographics, gender, age, location, married or not, family status, goals and needs, pain points, bits of personality, quote or a slogan that captures the personality. So all these information should be there in user persona. So if we uh, take different personas, uh, we you can clearly see all these informations, goals, frustrations, bio, personality, technology, are they tech savvy or not? All these things will be there in the persona card. You can share these personas with everyone in the team, and everyone will understand the end users of the product, which will give you a good platform to start your research and do the design. Okay, personas. After personas, we are creating flows based on those personas. User flow is something similar to this, where we start from a one point and finally end how the users might achieve the goal. So users might take different paths. Uh, you have to mention that in your user flow. UX flow is a diagram that shows the path users goes through when using your product from the start point to the final interaction. So let's say a start point is a signing up, and the end point will be sending money to someone. So you have to create a user flow from that starting point and till the time they achieve their end goal. Why user flow important? It is an easy and fast way to visualize the process, allows to better learn your audience, helps to eliminate malfunctions, better communications. So if you have a good user flow, it is easy and fast way to visualize the process. So rather than thinking out loud or thinking alone with a team, if you have a visual representation of the user flow, everyone can easily follow that without even thinking. So that is one importance of having a user flow. Allows to better learn your audience. So every time you think about your user, you have to think about their user flow as well. Uh, it will be really hard. It will be so much of cognitive load for designer or a developer or anyone. But if you have a user flow diagram in place, you can easily uh, learn your audience by just following it. Helps to eliminate malfunctions. So if you have one blueprint where everyone in the team can follow this particular user flow, you can eliminate malfunctions. You can say that this user flow doesn't look good. Uh, we can streamline, we can change this user flow to more effective one. So everyone's suggestions will come into place and you can effectively create a better user flow rather than creating individually. Helps to eliminate malfunctions and better communication as well. You can just follow the user flow and communicate with your team members or actual users without thinking about the user flow yourself. Okay, that is all about user flows, and that is all the things that we are going to cover in this presentation. If you have any questions regarding the UX design process or even in the what we discussed in the first week, you can ask now. You can send a message, and next we are going to take the UX process part 2. Send me a message if you have any questions, or you can uh, switch on your microphone and ask questions as well. Okay. And now let's go to the UX process. In UX process part 1, we just did discuss about what is UX process and methods used, how to apply the UX design process practically, what is empathy and why is it so important in design thinking, and user interviews and competitive analysis, creating personas and creating user flows. Those were the topics we covered in the present slides we finished just now. So in here, we are going to talk about UX design process. We are going to talk about color psychology and color theory, then typography, style guides, UX laws, and finally creating wireframes. Even when I do the presentation, if something is not clear, if you have any questions regarding the presentation or any other like UX career in a project you design already, you can ask through a chat message or through the call. UX process, color psychology and color theory. So what is color psychology? It's a branch of psychology studying the influence of colors on human mood and behavior. The things in that our mind reacts to the colors while we usually do not notice it. The moment our eyes perceive color, they connect with the brain, which gives signals to the endocrine system, releasing hormones responsible for the shifts in moods and emotions. So in UX design, you are dealing with users. So specifically, uh, most all of the users have emotions, different emotional states when when they are interacting with your application. So in color psychology, uh, you already know, I think, that different colors represent different emotions. For example, let's say green color, it represent something good, success. Red color, we are using it to represent danger, or even the some other colors. For example, blue color, it is kind of trustworthy, and purple or pink, it is representing playfulness, or so on. So those are the qualities or human qualities that representing with different colors. And then, okay, so let's see. In here, the stop sign is red color. It shows, and it is you have to stop there. It is something dangerous. Otherwise, even in the hospitals, they use the same color scheme to show the importance or the show it is dangerous, or you have to be cautious. Meaning of colors. To convey the right tone, message and call users to make the expected actions. Meaning of colors. Uh, as I said earlier, all these different colors will represent different meanings. So in order to convey the right tone, messages and call users to make the expected action. Designers need to understand what colors mean and what reaction they evoke. So in order to become a good UX designer, uh, in addition to the skills we discussed earlier, you have to have a good understanding about user psychology and specifically color psychology as well. Here, the red color. The red color usually associates with passionate, strong, or aggressive feelings. It symbolizes both good and bad states of mind and soul, including love, confidence, passion, and anger. In design, the use of red color is an effective way to draw users' attention. Also, it's recommended to use red sparingly to avoid negative reactions. So, as I mentioned, the red color is usually associated with passionate, strong, or aggressive feelings. It also symbolizes these human feelings, and it draws users' attention. So, I think you have seen that it is using mostly in advertising or even in a mobile application. If you want to do some action with caution, it represent in red color. Let's say in Facebook, it will show in your account deactivation. Similarly, in other platforms as well. And if you have an error in your, if you're filling a form and you run to an error, if you put a wrong email address without at sign or anything, it will show up to you in red color. So it gets users' attention and they will immediately try to fix it. And also they will avoid negative reactions. In here, this application's onboarding screen has red color. So they are trying to represent these feelings, passionate, strong, and aggressive feelings to their users. They might have done user research and understand who their users are, and finally come up with these particular color theory and colors they are selected to the application. So as I said, the error state can be displayed in red color. If you have seen most of you are using Instagram, so if you tap on a picture, it will show you the heart in red color. So you know that you like the picture. And if you add something to your cart, let's say these two devices, if you want to remove them, it is some action you have to take with caution. So it will show up in red color. Remove the item from a cart is colored in red. If you want to close account, it is a potentially dangerous action. Some of your data might get lost or your account, you won't be able to access it anymore. So it will show it to you in red color. Next, orange color. It is an energetic and warm color, bringing the feeling of excitement. Orange combines red's power and yellow's friendliness. So it may bring feelings of motivation, enthusiasm, and love to life. Designers use the color if they need to give the spirit of creativity and adventure. So when comparing to red, the orange color is a warm color and it represents uh, the message that in between red and yellow. So it is represent feelings of excitement, friendliness, motivation. So I think you have seen that most of the workout or a gym or some sports sites, they are using this combination, black and orange, white and orange for their UI. So they want to give you the motivation, enthusiasm, love to life, or those are the feelings that they kind want to represent by using this particular color, orange. Here, this shopping site, they have used shades of orange color and black and also white. So they are going to represent creativity and adventure for their users. Yellow color. This is the color of happiness which symbolizes the sunlight, joy and warmth. Yellow is thought to be the easiest color to visibly see. What's more, it has one of the most powerful psychological meanings. Users seeing yellow colors in the design can feel inspiration and confidence. Although you need to remember that too much yellow may bring negative reactions, such as the feeling of anxiety or fear. So you have to be cautious about when using specifically the colors, contrasting colors. For example, yellow color, if you are using it too much, it will negatively affect your design. But if you are using it right amount, it will give you a good advantage. It will give confidence and inspirations to your users. Here, the main topic is using yellow color, and also there are some accents of yellow used in border uh, with white color combination. So they are not only using yellow color, you have to always use it with another combined color, which is not that much contrasting or competitive with the color yellow. So if you use yellow and red, it will give so much attention to both those colors. So you won't be able to convey the message that you want to give users, and it will decrease their readability as well. And then green color. It is often called the color of nature, balance and harmony. Green brings of growth and inexperience. It has more positive energy than most other colors, but sometimes it associates with materialism. Designing green colors perfectly suits the product connected with nature, calming and renewing feelings. Also, it is a sign. So if you are using green color, uh, I think when you are interacting with different websites or mobile application, most of the websites show green color, they want to convey the message that they are eco-friendly or eco-friendly product, and they want to uh, give calming feelings and relieving feelings to their users. For example, let's say here we have this website. It has a green color as the background, and then green color picture of trees, and they are using combination of white and red colors to convey their messages to users. Read more or any call to action button are in red color accent. So in here we are showing success state to users. We are using green color. So most of the applications in the banking application or online ordering application, if you are ordering food or any cloth or anything, I think you have come across this success message. It is always in green color. So you have to follow the same practice. And if there's an error, as I mentioned, it will show up in red color. Submit button you can put in green color, and in here it shows a good deal in green color. So users know that this is a good deal for them, and they will definitely go for that. So it is kind of like medium in the scale, and it showed up as a green color. Even in Stripe, while red means stop, green means go. That's why green can be used to encourage users to participate in some activity. So in here, the start now call to action button is in green color. So users will take the action by clicking that button. For example, Stripe prompts users to sign up with a green button. So start now button is for the signing up. Even in Slack, if you are using Slack application, uh, the most of the themes, almost every theme has accent color green. So in green color, it shows that you have, if you got a message, that particular channel or a chat will be highlighted in green color. So you can easily follow and reply to that particular message or the channel. In here also, if you compare these messages, most of the users will find it easier, if you compare the conversion rates on internet, most of the users will click on green color button rather than clicking on red color call to action button. So it will, uh, that is also something you have to think about when choosing color for your call to action buttons. Next, blue color. Blue color represents some corporate images since blue is the color of trust. It's usually show reliability, may give users calming feelings. However, as a cool color, it associates with distance and sadness. So designers need to keep it in balance. So blue color often represents some corporate includes since blue is a color of trust. If you are using platforms like Facebook or even LinkedIn, it has blue color. So in LinkedIn, they are using it to represent trust, and it usually shows reliability as well and gives calming feelings to users. In Facebook, they are using Facebook application because users in Facebook stay there for much longer when comparing to other applications. Let's say some of you might have stayed there for like 4 or 5 hours a day. So if it has some contrasting color, let's say it has a red color accent, you won't be able to stay there for that long. So in order to give you a good feeling, calming feeling, and keep you coming back to their platform, they are using blue color as their accent color. Even in dark mode, they have blue accents, and even in light mode, they have blue accents since the beginning. And also if you use it with different colors like white color accents, it is very readable. So when comparing to using red or yellow background here and use white text or black text, people can easily read these texts if it has a blue color, dark blue color background. So if I show you something, let's see, tailwind color. So Tailwind is one of the leading CSS platforms that users use these days. So it has its own color library. So you can see all the colors and shades modern applications are using. So you can select two color combinations from here, and there are so many platforms like on internet for you to match colors. So when you are selecting colors for applications, you have to empathize with your users, and you have to match colors, and you have to think about the message that you want to give by selecting these colors. So you have to consider those as well. If you are using these color codes, the hex codes, it will be easier for developers if they are using this particular CSS platform uh, in their final product. And then purple color. Purple color is associated with royalty and wealth, since many kings wore purple clothes. It's useful for presenting some luxurious products, and it's also a color of mystery and magic. It mixes the energy of red and blue, so it has a balance of power and stability. A big concentration of color may distract users' mind. So if you want to convey the message about like if your product is luxurious or magic, if you were to convey those kind of feelings, you can select the color purple. So I have seen it in some uh, applications such as let's say in Sri Lanka, we have in different insurance companies, uh, like SoftLogic, they are using this color, and also uh, payment platforms such as Stripe use this color. So they want to give these luxurious feelings to their users. In here, this application has shades of purple uh, using the in their UI. And next, the pink color. It is the color of hope, sensitivity, and romance. Pink is much softer than red, so it creates a sense of unconditional love. Pink is associated very strongly with youthful femininity. It may be an effective color if the target audience is mostly girls and young women. So this particular color, uh, you can represent this sensitivity or romance, this kind of feeling, and it is strongly associated with youthful femininity. I think you have seen this color in applications specifically designed for girls, or I have seen it uh, uh, advertising in different banks. Uh, they are they're trying to promote the product for women, so you can use this color effectively if your target audience are mostly young girls and women. So this in here, the shopping cart has a pink accent. So pink accent. So users, if they did a user research, they might understand that the most of their users are coming under this category. Brown color. The color of security and protection like the Mother Earth. Designers commonly use brown as the background color in a variety of shades. From a very light to deep, it brings the feeling of warmth and comfort to the designs. Also, it may be used to show experience and reassurance. So if you're using earth colors such as green or brown, uh, it it is something that users see every day, so they are familiar with these colors, variety of shades and everything, so it will give them warmth and comfort when interacting with your interface. It will assure that your product is good, and they will click or interact with your designs easily. In this jewelry UI, they are using brown color to uh, show their text as well as the shopping cart button. And finally, the black color. The color has a great number of meanings. It associates with tragic situations and death. It signifies a mystery. It can be traditional, modern, serious. Everything depends on how you employ it and which colors go with it. Black matches well with any other color, so it's ideal for the background. Designers often use it to set contrast. So if you interact with applications such as Spotify, even before the dark mode came into existence, Spotify launched their application in back, black color background. So most of the users like their application because it set contrast with their black color background and green color foreground colors. So after the dark mode came into existence, most of these applications are now using dark mode even in your phones. I know that most of mobile phone users are using dark mode because it's so easy to eye and it is gives you modern and it don't like fend you up uh, when you are looking into your phone for longer hours. So most of the mobile like applications, they say if you're designing a web application, you have to design for both dark and light color. So if this is the light color design for your mobile application, when users change their color, you can give a toggle from here. But if you're changing your color appearance to dark mode from their system setting, your website should become dark mode as well because that is their preference. So you have always have to give what they prefer, your users prefer. So I'm changing it back to auto mode. So in here, in the advertising for the burgers or they are using a black color background and white color. White color means purity and innocence, as well as wholeness and clarity. White often associate with a blank sheet of paper, motivating people to generate new ideas. However, too much white can cause feelings of isolation and emptiness. So if you are a designer, I think you have already used applications like Photoshop, Figma, and so on. So most of these applications have their canvas or the frame in white color. So it will show you a blank paper. So even if you take a if you artist, if you want to design something, if you want to paint something, you always take a blank white paper. So that is the idea all these applications are taking, and they are going to represent the same thing in their interfaces as well. They have white color canvas and they will give you pens, brushes, and everything. So you can easily do the arts or designs digitally with the thing that you already known in your uh, life. In design, white is commonly used as a background color specifically for the resources for which readability is a vital part. So in here, this website, they want users to read these messages that they are giving. And even if you take a news website such as New York Times or anything, they are only using these two colors, white and black. So they want to make users feel that they are reading a newspaper or don't want to distract their readability. So that is why these two contrasting colors are really important. If you take a book also, it also have these two colors. So designers taking the same thing to the digital world and represent it in the same manner to improve the readability of the users. Color meanings in branding. Colors are vital factor for not only the visual appearance of products but also brand recognition. In branding, colors tend to have more direct meanings than in common understanding. They can be briefly described within a few words. So here is a list for you. So if you come across different brands. Let's say, for example, if you take brand Coca-Cola, the red color is their main branding color. So that will represent their message. And if you take fast food chains like McDonald's, so they have that yellow color golden arc. So that yellow represent their message. Same with other fast food or other brands as well. So these are the colors that we talked about, and these are the uh, messages that they are going to convey to their users. Red color, confidence, youth, and power. Orange, friendly, warm, and energetic. Yellow, happiness, optimism, and warmth. Green, peace, growth, and health. Blue, trust, security, and stability. Purple, luxurious, creative, and wise. Black, reliable, sophisticated, and experienced. White, simple, calm, and clean. So next time when you are designing an application, after you do the user research and you get an understanding about the user, you can select what is the color we should use, what are the colors that other competitors are using, and you can rationalize your color choices and give better user experience to your users. Here, color preferences. Blue is the top color. Both men and women of all ages think of blue as their favored color. So you might have personal choices, but this is something that research has done by UX researchers. So when they give users interface with blue color, most of the participants, even if they were men or women, they like the blue color most when comparing to other colors. Brown and orange are disliked. The first one considered less favorable among men and second among women. So brown color was less favorable by men and the orange by women. So you have to take these like color likability of different demographics, have to take that into to the consideration as well, because some of the cultures, uh, let's say, have their uh, different colors. For example, let's say if you take countries like India, they have different religious groups. So they have different colors that they want to represent, that the colors they like. So you always have to make sure you represent the message that you want to convey, and also you have to make sure uh, understand your target audience are. If they don't like your color, if they think that is a holy color or something like that, you have to make sure that you are using correct colors. You are trying to impress your users, not to make them feel bad. So you have to consider all these uh, as well. Cool colors are preferred. Men and women favor blue, green, and their tints in general. So when comparing to colors with warm colors and cool colors, most of the people prefer cool colors. It will be a reason that uh, most of the cool colors are easy to eye and people can interact with them easily without having any issues, uh, and they can look into them for longer hours. And women like tints. When men prefer pure and shaded colors, ladies are good with tints, lighter value than the hue of that color. So if your application is more into this particular gender. If it is for men, you have to make sure that you are using shaded colors. If it is women, you have to combine the tints, lighter values of the same hue. And here, men prefer achromatic colors. White, black, and gray are neutral colors, and men are keen to choose them. So most of the men, they prefer solid achromatic colors. So here's the graph. So 57 of men like blue color, whereas 35% of women. So both of uh, those genders like blue color most, and men like brown color least, whereas the women uh, like gray and white color a very less amount when comparing to other colors in the color wheel. These are some points to consider. Color psychology is rather complex to understand and learn. However, it may become an efficient tool in designers' hand, helping to understand users and their demands. So even if you design an application by considering most of your personas, there might be some person that don't like your color. So it is something that really complex to understand and learn. So you have to address uh, most users' concerns rather than specifically address one user's concern. So You have to understand and help users to navigate through by using these particular colors. Choose colors wisely. They have a deep influence on the others. So let's say, as I said earlier, different colors has different cultural values. So you have to consider your end users and uh, choose the colors accordingly, accordingly and wisely based on your user's requirement. Make sure your design and its color convey the right message and tune. So as we discussed the success message, where everyone is using green color for the success message and danger message red color, if we are using different color, it won't give the right message for your users. Even your UI is really nice and it is interactive or anything, you have to follow the standards that's set by the previous designers. So you always have to follow those guidelines. Learn your target audience. The color preferences and meanings depend on many factors, including age, gender, and culture. So most of the people, like in younger age, like vibrant colors such as pink, purple, or any other color, whereas older people prefer like faded colors or something brown or some uh, colors they can see easily without any issue. And there are gender biases as well, as we discussed. The pink color is most likely by women. And there are cultural biases as well when people are interacting with your UI. Some colors may look different on screens of different devices. Additional testing never hurts. So uh, if you design your color, design your UI using particular color, and let's say another person is trying to access using, there are different color profiles in our devices. So Apple has different color profile in RGB. They have different settings. And Samsung might have different color settings. And devices came earlier in 2010s, 2000 early years, they might have different color profiles. So you have to check your color and color combinations with these different color profiles as well, because you are designing your UI application for all the users. So you have to include everyone in your design process, in your product. Maybe good idea to test the UI colors with representatives of the target audience. And then you have to give the color, like after you do the uh, high fidelity prototype, you have to give it to your target audience and see how they like the colors. There are different methods that we can follow. We can use something, there's an application called Clarity, where you can see what are the heat maps of your application. So it will show what are the most clicked button. So if I show you one example, and there's another application called Hotjar, where you can also uh, track user interactions there. So let's see this. So if you go to heat map, we'll show what are the areas that users click. So this is the button. So how many clicks? What is the area? The red color is most popular, and the blue color is most popular. So you have to analyze all these things when you do the application and give the target users uh, to check it. So most of the times what we do is when we do the design, we come with the prototype and we put a tracker. The tracker can be a heat map like this or a mouse movement tracker. And even there are situations we have to use users camera to track their eyeball movements. So we can see what area of the screen they are focusing on and what area of the screen that they are least focusing on. So in that, when analyzing those details, we can understand, okay, we have to reduce the contrast of this color. This color is not really good for users' eyes. So we have to uh, test our colors with target audience as well. And then finally, try to make a color combination wisely in the best ways for the user's perception. So if you go to Google or a Dribble or any other application, even Adobe Color, you can get color combinations, and you can combine these colors accordingly. You can see how much contrast there are between those two colors, and you can use that color in your applications as well. Okay, it's 10:30 now. We are going to take a 15-minute break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about color theory, and I'm going to take a look at the Figma designs you did last week. So we'll do that after. Let's uh, meet again at 10:48. Okay, welcome back. We were discussing about color theory and color psychology in detail. So I talked about points to consider when choosing colors for your application. And now I am going to introduce you to the color theory. So what is color theory? Color theory is a collection of rules and guidelines which designers use to communicate with users through appealing color schemes in visual interfaces. So as I said earlier, every color represent different human feeling or human emotion. So if you choosing your colors wisely, you are communicating with your fellow users the message you want to give. The better colors you choose when after analyzing your end users, the better you communicate with those users. With your color schemes and visual interfaces, you designed by using those colors. This is the color wheel. So if you go to introductiondesign.org, so it is actually the certification body, and they have different courses as well regarding interaction design. Interaction design is also another branch of user experience design where you focus mainly on user interactions with your screens and elements. So user interactions can be your UI, user interface, or micro interactions where users interact with different buttons, the animations you show, the transitions, and everything combined we call interaction design. So we have primary colors. I think you already know. We have blue color, red color, and yellow color in digital world. And we have some secondary colors as well. So when we mix yellow and red, we get orange color. When we mix red and blue, we get purple color. When we mix blue and yellow, we get green color. And there are, if you put other colors as well, if you mix these two color, this shade of blue will appear. If you mix these two colors, this shade of blue will show up. And if you mix red and purple, this shade of pink will show up, and so on. So this is the complete full color wheel. And this is the color wheel. These are some color schemes. Though in the monochromic color design, we are only selecting one color. So the pattern will be this. So we can select either yellow color or any other one color in the whole color wheel. And analogs. Analogs is something uh, next to each other. Three different colors next to each other. You can select this green color, yellow color, or this shade of orange, and even we can select from here this color and these two colors. If we are selecting here, this purple, blue, and pink. So you have to combine these colors. If you try to combine this color with some other color in the color wheel, it won't happen unless you follow these patterns. So this is complementary colors. So in the color wheel, the opposite color, uh, yellow color is on top, the opposite color is purple, that is matching. And these two colors are matching, and these red and green are matching. So these are the color schemes. Split complementary. So you can select a yellow color and then uh, these two colors, not the right opposite color, but uh, next to right opposite color, you can select. Those three colors are matching as well. In triad, especially these three colors in triad, especially they are using this for advertising, not much for UI. You can select contrasting colors based on this 120-degree angle. So if you are putting that angle everywhere, you can select three colors in the color wheel. And tetrad tetradic, you can have four colors in 90-degree angle. If you select yellow color, it will give. You can select purple. If you select orange color, you can select this blue tint. Here's the difference between RGB and CMYK. RGB is what we use for digital usage. So it is used for digital and web media. And This is CMYK used to print media. So if, when you become a UX designer, sometimes you might have to design digital media as well. For example, in your application, you might give a receipt to the customer. It might be a colorful, or as an output of your application, you might give them a colorful uh, design or something like that. So in that case, you have to consider CMYK colors as well, because most of the RGB colors don't show up perfectly in CMYK. Is the monochromic color wheel. It is based on one color with various tones and shades of it. So if you take this yellow color, you can't select any of these other colors, but you can use the shades of this particular yellow color, or whatever the color, one color you select from the whole color wheel. Then the monochromic harmony is always a winning choice, since it's hard to make a mistake and create a distasteful color scheme. So if you are new to UX design, I invite you to choose one monochromic color. So this color scheme, you won't make a color pairing mistake. So you are only selecting one color, and you are using shades of that color. So it will be uh, easier for you to start off with the design. In here, they have selected the blue color background and choose the shades of that particular blue color uh, as for the icons and as well. So the white color is also used, and the blue color is there. So they want to represent something similar to space and sky. So the blue color is the color that represents space or the sky. So that is why they have choose this blue color, and they are using light blue shade to show up and uh, make a contrast between background and their icons as well. These are analogs. To create analogs harmony, you need to use colors located right next to each other on the color wheel. This type of color scheme is used for the design where no contrast is needed, including the background or web pages of banners. So if you don't need much contrast in your website, if you want it like kind of like uniform, you can select 3 different colors next to each other in the color wheel, as mentioned here, like this. I think we seen this design already. They are using these 3 colors, purple, blue, and lighter blue in their design, with a green accent for the fonts and white. Complementary. A complementary scheme is the mix of colors placed in front of each other on the color wheel. So as I said, this yellow color in front of the purple. And if you take orange, this light blue, red, green, and so on. This scheme is opposite to analogs and monochromic since it aims to produce high contrast. For example, the orange button on a blue background is hard to miss in any interface. So if you select these two colors, uh, if you we normally don't use these warm colors as background color, but this can use as a background color. If you put a orange button, everyone will notice it without an issue. In this particular illustration also, they are using blue color background and have colors in opposite complementary colors as the accent colors in the design. Split complementary. This scheme works similar to previous one, but it employs more colors. So in here we have only 2 colors in complementary, but a split complementary we have 2 different colors complementing with this particular yellow color. This scheme employs more colors. For instance, if you choose the yellow color, you need to take 2 others which are adjacent to the opposite color, meaning blue and pink. So you take yellow color here, and the opposite color is purple. We are taking colors next to that particular purple, so which are blue and pink. The contrast here is less sharp than in complementary scheme, but it also allows using more colors. So in complementary, it will allow you to select only one color, whereas here you can select 2 complementing colors. So here the gradient they are using uh, you can clearly see that the background is purple shade and the other colors they are using are orange and this green color. Triadic. So triad, when the designs require more colors, you can try triadic scheme. It is based on three separate colors which are equidistant, uh, equally distant on the color wheel. So if you take this yellow color, you can, if you draw a like 120-degree lines in your color wheel, it will give you three colors that complementing with each other, but those are three separate colors. To save the balance in the with this scheme, it is recommended to use one color as a dominant, the other as accent. So if you select this blue color as the dominant color, so you can uh, create your background by using that color and so on, and you have to use accents of this red and yellow. So in here, they are using the dominant color as red and accents of blue and shades are there. Heterodyc, double complementary colors. So unlike complementary, we can choose 4 colors here. In complementary, we only could have choose 2 colors. The tetradic color scheme is for the experienced designers since it's most difficult to balance. It employs 4 colors from the wheel, which are complementary pairs. If you connect the points on the chosen colors, they form a triangle. The scheme is hard to harmonize, but if you do everything right, the result will be stunning. So as a starters of UX design, you have to think carefully and you have to do your own research uh, on the color wheel, color complementary you are choosing. So if you want to select double complementary, you have to make sure it harmonize your color wheel and uh, it will give you good results. Otherwise, it will affect negatively in your final designs. So as you can see here, these courses have 4 different colors. It is something you can use. I think this is an application that's targeting kids specifically, so students, so they can contrast between each of these steps easily by using this kind of a color scheme. So these are some color tools and apps you can use. So let's open one by one. So you can sign up uh, here and select different color shades that they are giving. Color palette and explore. You can start a generator and generate different colors based on your client requirements. So when you interview them, you can get to know about their feelings and empathize with them and come up with the color that you want. And next one, material design, the color systems, tool for picking colors. Material design is Google's design platform, design system. So they are using it in AngularJS and other Google supported frameworks. And the thing I showed you earlier, Tailwind, is widely used when comparing to material design. So if you are good at coding as well as designing, I invite you to do your design using Tailwind rather than material design because it is widely used and it is really easy to come up with different design because they have all the uh, design that require to come up with a better user interface. And this is another app. You can select different colors to your next design. Okay, gradients. I think you have come across UIs that use gradients, specifically the application. Most of the time, the Instagram, their logo have gradients, and some applications that want to convey a message, youthfulness, playfulness, or are those messages they want to convey, they can use gradient to show that message to their users. Using gradients, designers can make bold statement. So Instagram logo gradient gives the icon more depth and dimension. So rather than using one particular solid color, they are using gradient colors, starting with this blue color, and they are going down to orange shade, light orange shade. So in that way, they can make a bold statement. Gradient help create something new and unexpected. Even a tiny element such as a logo can be exciting if you apply a gradient to it. Rather than having a bold or solid logo, if you apply gradient to your logo, it will give the logo more life. But you always have to consider what is the application that you are designing. If you are putting a gradient logo to banking application or corporate application, it won't do what you are expecting. So you always have to consider that as well. Empathize certain elements. Take a look at a homepage example below. Text message and call to action button plays a key role in this layout, and gradient background visually prioritizes the element. Okay, now in web designing, so we call this part about the phone because this is the first part that users can see when they are loading a website. So you have to convey the message. You have to give your message faster and easier to understand and easily readable to your users within this particular about the phone section of your website. So in here, they are using gradient background, whereas you can easily read their brand name and the text that they want to uh, give as a description. And also the call to action button is easily clickable, and you can draw attention to the website of by using this gradient. So another thing, when people come to some kind of a website or a mobile application, they always look into the left side of the application because we are already trained to read a book from left to right. So we unconsciously see the screen. When we see the screen, we keep our eyes on left hand side of the screen. So if you have any important messages, you have to always make it left aligned rather than centered or right aligned. Learn basic types of gradients. So these are some linear gradients. To create a linear gradient, you need to specify two colors or two tints of this one color. Let's go to Figma and try to create a gradient from there. So I'm creating this box, and inside fill we have gradient. If I select linear gradient, it gives me option to select two colors. Let's say I'm selecting this color as my first color, and second color I'm selecting this, and I'm going to increase the opacity as well. So this is a linear gradient. We have two colors that the gradient is linear, and in the radiant colors it is radial. So if you select two colors, it will show up like this. You can adjust the gradient by dragging like this. So this is radial. It also provides angular colors. Color is uh, available into an angle. So for example, if we select again two colors, it will give you angular gradient. So you can add more colors if you like. And here's the diamond. If you select two colors, it show you the colors in the diamond shape. You can increase the diamond shape and you can add more colors to it by selecting this. So linear gradient, only two colors, two tints of one color. So always make sure you have to match the colors in the color wheel as well. Otherwise, it will be contrasting and it won't like if you want a contrast between your text and the background, you have to use colors that complementing with each other. If you're using the colors like I did, red and blue, it will be kind of like distracting for users uh, if they want to read something on foreground. So always make sure you choose the colors, gradient colors wisely as well. Radial gradients are similar to linear gradients except they radiate out from a central point. As a designer, you can dictate where the central point is, should be, and specify the size of the gradient, like we did. A conic gradient is similar to a radial gradient. Both are circular and use the center of the element as a source point of the uh, for color stops. However, for a radial gradient, the color stops emerge from the center of the circle, while the conic gradient places color stops around the circle. Okay, in the central, like radial one, the color stop is on at the pivot point or the central point, and in the conic one, it uh, increases to the edge of the circle as well. Okay, these are some tips for creating impressive gradients. Don't choose colors randomly, like I did in this design, Figma, for the demonstration. Don't choose random colors. Always make sure you select your colors accompanying to each other. It is better to use either analog colors, colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, or shades of the same color, shades of the blue. So let's see. Uh, let's say I'm going to add a color to this button. So I'm going to go to fill and then gradient. So if I add red color to this, blue and red, it won't look nice. You can see. So I'm going to change it to 90-degree angle here. But if I select another blue shade from here, see, so it is good. Like you can easily see the difference rather than selecting two contrasting colors. If you can select colors next to each other in color wheel or the shades of same color you are using, it will give better user experience when comparing to this kind of a gradient. Create smooth transition. The transition between colors should be really smooth. Ideally, the user shouldn't notice the place where one color flows to another. So if I again go to this and here, uh, now the colors, you can't even see where the color, dark blue color is stopping. But if you do something like this, you can see that dark blue is stopping here. So that is not a good user experience. So you always have to make sure to maintain this kind of a gradient without showing the users where the color is stopping. Take a look at the following example. You can notice the line that separates two colors. This line creates the impression of an abrupt transition. So this transition is kind of uniform and it flows. This is abrupt. So you can clearly see where it stops. That is not a good practice. Convey emotion or mood. This is another use case of using gradients. Color evokes emotional responses. We can use this color property to connect with the audience on a deeper level. So bright bold colors stir positive feelings. So you can use these gradients as well. So in this layout for the airline, they're using gradient colors for foreground and background as well. Same color, same orange color, but different shades. Deep tones bring calm. So if you select this kind of a deep blue color, and it will, so you can clearly see if you're looking at this interface, it is kind of a positive feeling and it has bright colors. But whereas this one, it is uh, making you calm. It don't have much contrast in the background. So you have to select that color as consider those when you're creating a gradient for your background as well. try to avoid acid colors. So on your right hand side image, those are we call acid colors. Acid is an original context referred to a bitter taste. Acid colors rarely work well in user interfaces because they demand too much attention. So if you don't have a solid design skills, it's safer to avoid using them in your UI, especially when you use a gradient. So if you use acid colors, it will distract users because it needs it conveys so much of users' attention. So if you want to uh, bring users' attention to somewhere else, to click a button or something else, and you have acid colors in your design, it won't do the job. So you have to avoid using these high contrast acid colors in your designs as well. Unless if there's a particular use case, you can use this, but most of the time you don't have to. Use gradient to direct the eye to a certain part of the screen. So you can use a gradient to create focal points. It's specifically helpful for smaller elements such as call to action buttons. So if we go to new Stripe website, you can clearly see that they are trying to convey this message. They are going to uh, increase the readability of this part by having a animated uh, gradient background. So, and this call to action start now button is clearly in the white color background, but your eyes is on the left hand side of the screen because it draws attention with this gradient background. And here also this call to action button draws attention when comparing to whole background. So users will click on that easily. Don't forget about color contrast. No matter how beautiful your design is, you shouldn't forget about accessibility. Always check the color contrast ratio. So if you have gradient background and text in this color, it is really hard to read. Then it is lack of contrast and hard to read. But if you add a contrasting color like white to your text, it is really easy to read, and also uh, users have better accessibility because as I said in the first session, most of the users, like you have to include everyone in your designs. Some of your users might have visual impairment, some might have like motor impairment and so on. So you have to test your designs and colors and make sure that you accommodate each and every user in your designs. These are some special tools. Uh, do you have access to Google Classroom? You can send a message if you don't have. I think the administrative staff should have sent you a message with the invite to the Google Classroom. Let me know if you already have access or not. Okay, okay, cool. So I will put all these slides and the resource materials that I want you to follow during the design there, so you can easily take a note of them and use them when you are doing the design next time. Here, the dark mode. I talked about it earlier very roughly. And what is exactly dark mode first? A dark mode is a night-friendly color scheme that mainly focuses on using dimmed gray colors for surface and UI elements. Darker colors reflect less light while still providing a great reading experience. As a design pattern, a dark mode is usually living across the user interface as a toggle. The dark mode is designed to be supplemental to the system's default or light theme. Okay. With the introduction of the dark mode, and most of the users are using it nowadays, so the idea was to uh, main idea was to save phone's battery. So if you are like using white screen, the phone have to light up whole screen. But when you are using dark screen, the background of the your UI, uh, the phone don't have to light it up 100%. So if you're using white color background, the phone has to light it up. But if you are having a dark color background, black background, it don't consume much energy from your phone. And also, as you know that when we use white color background in our screens, it is not good for our eyes as well as a reader, and also for the environment as well. So that is the idea behind dark screen. The design pattern dark mode is usually living across user interfaces as a toggle. Dark theme is good marketing move for making your UI stand out among similar brands or products. The deep, heavy backgrounds can become a perfect addition to your brand visuals. As I said earlier, when Spotify came into market, they had competitors such as Apple Music, mainly Apple Music, which had white color background. So what Spotify did correct was they started with a black color background from the beginning. So most users liked it. And you know that most of the users, most of us listen to music when we have a free time. So most of the time it will be night time where we want our phones to be less contrast. So it will be easy for our eyes as well. And power consuming should low as well. So those are the things that Spotify did correct, and they are completely became successful by introducing it with the black color dark mode theme. They have a good platform as well, but main selling point when comparing to Apple, that was their dark color theme. Dark mode as a feature can help reduce eye strain when operating your product, especially if your product is heavy with text. The dark mode can help enhance your users' retention and focus. So rather than using a white color theme and uh, foreground with darker color, most users prefer using dark color background and foreground color with light colors. So it will increase their readability, and it will help to reduce their eye strain, and they can keep looking at the screen for longer period of time without any issue. Dark mode can potentially save your phone energy. So as I said earlier, it lightens up considerably small amount of digital dots, pixels in your screen. So it saves the phone battery as well. Dark mode consumes 6 times less power on your screen by emitting less light, and as a result can prolong your app lifespan and usage time. So it will help your eyes, as well as uh, it will keep you longer in the application, which is a good thing for app designers and developers as well. Healthier to read against dark surfaces. So there's a um, reading tool, Amazon Kindle. So when they introduced it, they had the white color background, but eventually with the dark mode came into play, they changed the background color to black and have a text in not white color, light gray color. So it is improved users readability and the sales of this device overall and so on. So it is a good use and healthier and easier to read against dark surfaces as well. Plan your color use. Avoid or limit white on pure black colors. You can use pure black, which is hex code is #000 as background for the dark mode. So background text white. So here's the background and the text this color. So if you are using white and black, it is not really good use case. We have good practices because most of the hardware designers in mobile applications or desktop applications, even the devices itself, they follow good practices, such as they are not using black color as a background and white as a text, because it will consume energy, and also it will avoid the readability of the users. And if you are using black color background and then somewhat related shade to white color and a gray color as your text, it will give some contrast, and it will allow to save the phone energy, as well as increase the readability of the user as well. To make your dark mode more unique, use a much darker version of your primary brand color as the surface. So if your brand color is blue, you can use like darker shade of blue as your background color. So it will stand out and it will convey the message of your brand as well. So branding and readability and user experience are all uh, answered by using that kind of a layout. No worries. Vijay Malad sent a message that her phone is completely dead. So you can refer to this recording when we upload it to Google Classroom later. Reduce color saturation. Avoid fully saturated colors in dark mode. So if you have this background color and accent in blue color, so you can see that there's a blur between the edges of the this button. And if you like, it will be really hard for users to uh, focus on the screen and click on that button. But if you use like this kind of a shade, this kind of accent, you can clearly see that the boundaries of that button. So it is easier for users to interact with that particular button when comparing to this contrasting button. Communicate depth. Use a scale of lighter colors to translate the elevation. Avoid using shadows in dark mode. So if you want to show the elevation, so for example, let's say you want to give higher elevation to this particular part. So you can have a border with this particular color and background with a shadow, like gray shadow. So you have to avoid using shadows if you are using dark mode. And the colors foreground has chosen was gray color, and you can add a border around it with a much lighter gray. So that will communicate the depth between the background and the foreground element. And this is the lower elevation. So the first one has the higher depth and the last one is the least depth. Ensure your dark mode contrast. Dark mode, just as the light, should meet the minimum requirement WCAG standards to ensure all text is legible with enough contrast. You can use plugins to check your contrast design right in place. So if you have this kind of a layout, you can, even without using a plugin, you can clearly see that this text is really hard to read when comparing to one on your right hand side. So after you do the design, if it is a text rich or media rich content, content-rich website or a UI, you can use plugins to check the contrast ratio between two colors. It will show you that these text are hard to read, and you can increase and they will give you suggestions. What is the color that they recommend? What is the minimum level of contrast ratio they recommend? So those usability guidelines you should follow as well. Then we talked about dark mode earlier. Now design light mode first. So uh, in here, we are going to talk about why designing light mode first is a good idea. While bringing your designs from light to dark mode, keep all the visual cues in place. Don't ignore or remove some colors for the sake of dark theme, not to confuse users. So if you are doing a design for the first time, always start off with the light mode because it will give you more freedom and it will allow you to use more colors, and your creativity will uh, be much more, you have independence to use much more colors and try out different colors when you have a white color background, because we are so used to white color background even when we are writing on a paper from the day we started writing. So we are so used to it. So always start with a white color background, start with what you already know, and then moving on, do the dark mode later on. So these are some tools that you can use on Figma to create a appearance dark mode and so on. So if I show you one example of dark mode and light mode, let's say now we have this buttons here. or I will create a new one. Let's say we have, I'm going to call this wrapper. Inside the wrapper, we have text. I'm going to give it 16, the font size. And this is my design. Okay, for now. Okay, let's add something that has the text. And I have a photo layout, and then I'm going to put padding of 10 again, 820. And this one also have auto layout. And this one has 30. Now I'm going to add a different color to this one. Okay, maybe I will do other way around. I will add a different color to the main background and have this as our foreground color. We'll change the backgrounds in contrast easily. Okay, this is the design I have for the light mode. So if I want to create a dark mode, what I can do is I can create this and select darker version color, and then again this will also and text I'm going to give for the text I'm going to give much lighter color. Okay, now these are the light mode and dark mode. So in Figma, what you can do is you can create a component, and here we can say say dark mode. Say the first one as default, and then another Boolean type. I'm going to call it dark mode. This one okay, this one is dark mode true. This is dark mode false. So if you go to our assets and then drag this wrapper here, and it gives us a switch to toggle between dark and light mode. So this is how we do the design for the light and dark mode for the large scale applications. So we are creating those two interfaces separately, and there are plugins as well where you can select dark color complementing with it. But if you do this kind of a design, it will be easier and it will give you more control over your design. Let's go back to this. So you can see that this is the light mode and dark mode of one particular application. So they are using light 900. So here you can, if you go to application like Tailwind, it also supports light mode and dark mode. So you can easily select whatever the color shades you want. So this colors code is yellow 300. So likewise, in their framework, they have different colors. So light 900 is white color, and light gray 100 is 100 So they starting from 100 up to 900, they have different shades of colors. So here, for example, the 50 is the lowest color, and whereas 950 is the darkest. So you can use those CSS classes in your designs when you are following Tailwind or any other CSS frameworks. So you can clearly see there's a contrast, and their dark mode and light mode are really good there because they have selected contrasting colors, and you can easily read and follow the instructions on the screen. Use base colors to design dark mode. To make it predictable, turning your light themed UI to a dark side, use a set of based or neutral colors with the same transparency values from the very start of your project. So if these are base light colors, you have to select base dark colors as well. So in that case, you can once again go to this library. So you can easily see the dark mode from here as well. But I invite you to put these colors in your design and see. So you can easily select one color and follow the shades within that color rather than putting different colors and different shades for each of those colors. So I can show you one example that we did recently. In here, I have selected black color, go back, black color and the shades of gray color. So it is when comparing to previous design they had, most of the users interacting with this particular interface, the conversion rate is high because last time the conversion rate, the return on investment was something, if 100 people come to website using Google advertisement, only 2 or 3 people fill the form. Right now it is increasing up to 20% are filling the form. So we have to consider those as well to give users better user experience if you want more positive results. So even here, the dark mode, if you are using dark mode, make sure you are using same color shade rather than going back and forth with different color shades, different colors, color shades. Don't overuse dark mode. If you are making a product for Mac Windows users, it's good to adapt your product theme to sync with users' current theme automatically. This can help users feel at home, making a great first impression. So if you are showing up, let's say now in my phone or laptop, I have put automatic mode. Like I want to have light mode in the daytime and dark mode at the night time. But if your website showing me the white color, light mode in the night time as well, I'm not going to use it because it is not familiar to me. Because most of the users they expect your website to behave as their system customization does. So you always have to make sure you give that control to your users as well, and make sure they can feel themselves familiar rather than something unfamiliar, and they will leave if they don't find it familiar or uh, easy to hide. These are some useful resources. This is once again material design dark mode guidelines you can follow. There are many articles about material design dark uh, and other dark theme guidelines, so you can follow when you are doing your design. There's a contrast ratio and elevation level representation. So here how we should have our scroll bar and everything. So these are the guidelines that Google put into place. So it is a good practice always to follow these guidelines. They are updating these guidelines whenever they are release new Android version or Apple iOS version. So you always have to be up to date and make sure you follow the same patterns. Otherwise, you will left behind because users experience this UI from their system, and if you have outdated UI, your system will be rejected. So you have to make sure you keep updating regarding the design trends and follow the design patterns that market introduce. Dark mode UI inspiration. in Dribble, you can search for dark mode UIs. So there are many, and you can see that how they are using colors to represent data in different dashboards and visualization. So pleasing to eye, and you can follow the same designs and gather motivation for your designs when you are doing design. So we are calling these mood board or design inspirations. So you can quickly copy one of these designs, like let's say I'm going to design a dashboard. So I like this design very much, and what I can do is I can copy this and add it to our Figma, and we can refer to it when we are doing the design. We don't have to follow the same design, but the color contrast ratio and the representation of data, representation of different colors, you can follow this. The depth of these stickers and so on, you can follow those as well. Figma tokens are plugins to help customize and adapt your design system to multiple themes. So Figma tokens is another tool that we can plugin we can install and change our colors and check the customization and find what suits your design best by trying out multiple themes. Contrast, a plugin to help check the contrast ratio of background and foreground elements. So here also, if you install this contrast plugin on your Figma, it will give you the contrast ratio. If you want to increase the contrast ratio, if it is not readable, they will tell you by giving you an error message, and they will also tell how much contrast it is required, how much you change, and all these hints will be there. Okay, is it clear up until now? If you have any questions, you can ask. So I asked you to follow this design and do the designs yourself. I can only see one person has completed that. So if you have time this week, you can complete this as well. I know you have some other work, some of you are studying, some of you are working. But if you want to become a good UX designer, you have to practice yourself. So I don't want you to follow this similar one. If you haven't practiced, I don't want you to put your design in here, but if you are practicing in daily basis, or if you are using Figma in daily basis and trying out new different things and copying designs that good designers do on Dribble or Behance, it is a good thing, because if you are not using these tools properly, if you are not like good in the if you don't have expert knowledge in Figma, it will be really hard for you to apply those what you have learned in the theory. So I invite you to do your designs in Figma. You don't have to do this. You don't have to follow what I have given you. But if you are following any of those designs in design inspiration, you get like something like this or something you love. So you can easily do your design and put in your portfolio as well. So as I said in the first session, having a good, strong sounding portfolio is the number one if you want to get a job in UI and UX field. If you even want to change your career, like if you are a software programmer or a finance person or whatever, even for you, you have to have a good portfolio. Otherwise, people don't know how your designs are. Are you capable of good designing? What your design tastes are. So that is having a portfolio is the only way that you can convey that message to your recruiters and people who are interviewing you. Okay. So do your designs on Figma and share it here or anywhere so I can give you feedback as well. Okay, let's go to slides again. We have 20 minutes. I'm going to talk about typography. Okay, typography is what we can see like in these slides also. Typography is this like the text interface we have chosen. The typography is a design discipline that involves the use of typefaces and organization of those typefaces to create readable, usable, and ideally user-friendly interfaces for experience. Typeface, also known as a font family, the word typeface comes from physical print and refers to the faces of physical letter blocks. A typeface composed of fonts. So fonts, typeface composed of fonts. Uh, these are the basic typefaces I got from Interactive Design Foundation website. I think you already know most of these fonts because they are widely used in all the platforms. So if we go to fonts.google, these are some widely used fonts because they are open source and you can use it anywhere. You can easily download them, download family and use it in your design, or you can call their font API and font library and do your designs as well. In Figma, most of the Google fonts are already installed, and you just have to select your typeface from here and use it accordingly. And if you want more fonts to be installed, I don't recommend that because if you are using local like own hosted fonts, it will slow down your website speed. So Google Fonts is kind of like a content delivery network. So they already have CDN in place. So you can easily uh, request the font from there. The Google servers will load it for you. So it will be faster rather than loading the font from your own server. And then fonts are specific weights within the typeface. You choose a typeface, you use a font. If you select Georgia as your typeface, then Georgia bold, italic, regular would be your fonts. So here I have selected Montserrat as my font. So I have these font phases like italic, light, dark, bold, extra bold, black, and so on. So you can see how they work from here. And I have given you another tool as well, typeface. Let me go to classroom. I think I don't have access to batch 17 classroom yet. I will ask administration to give that, and I will put these links there as well. Okay, here, the type scale. Unlike Google, it will provide you with more customization options. You can select the body size of your website or whatever. So let's say 14, and it will give you all the fonts in hierarchy. So H1 would be, let's say pixels, select pixels from here, 42 pixels and so on. So you can easily see, and you can match your fonts as well. This is how it look like in the design. Character is an individual element, mostly commonly a single letter number of punctuation mark. So inside this typeface and font, we have character. This single element is a character. Weight, height, and size. This refers to the thickness, length, and overall size of typeface. You can experiment with different weights and sizes and use the variation judiciously, on your interface to break the monotony on long passages of text or to direct attention to specific elements. So you can put a typeface here. Let's go to what we have already created here, this one. So you can select this part and change the thickness of your font like this, black. So it will give you more thickness. So it will improve the readability. So if you want to highlight your headings and give more readability to your users, you can use that kind of a typeface. Letter spacing or tracking. The distance between the widest point of each character. Tracking specifically refers to the uniform increase or decrease in the horizontal spaces between characters. So in Figma, if we open this one, the tracking is this, the horizontal space between each character. So as you can see, it is increasing when we are increasing this one. So I'm going to undo it. Again, you can increase. Let's take this out because it is. Now if you let's change the size of this to 80. If you increase the horizontal kerneling, it will give you more space between each of these characters. Tracking. An alignment refers to how text is positioned. There are four main alignments: left, right, center, and justified. I think you have already know that because you are using like word processing softwares like Word as well. So those also have the same alignment. So in here in Figma, we also have left align, center align, right align, and if you want to access more alignment like justify, you can go to type settings by clicking these three more buttons. Okay, there are typography principles and some other things that I want to cover as well. So I'm not going to talk about this today because I might have to stop it in 10 minutes if I won't be able to complete it. So next week we are going to talk about typography principles and some other things left on this presentation. And also I invite you to send me some designs that you already did. You can add them here in your name board. It doesn't have to be the same design I given you. You can add something that you already done here. So that is all for now, this session. So we can meet next week, same time, 9 a.m. Is there any questions you can ask? We have 10 minutes. Okay, no questions. Okay, thank you everyone for joining today. We'll see you guys next week. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.
Excuse me,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm new to the class. I
Yeah.
registered yesterday. So, how to get access to this Figma portal?
Figma portal. Okay. Let me share you the link on Zoom chat first. Do you have access to our Google Classroom?
Yes.
Okay. Only I don't have access, I think. Let's see. Chat. Okay, I just shared it. You can join the Figma board. Purnima
Okay.
is asking.
Thank you.
Okay, cool. Purnima is asking a question. So can you please explain the differences between frames and components? Okay, frames and components are completely two different things. So frame is something like this. So you type something on screen. Let's increase the font size for you to see. So this is the text I'm typing. let's say sign up. And then if you want to make it responsive, and as a good practice, we always put something inside a frame. So let's say I'm selecting, I'm going to do it again, selecting the font and frame selection. There's a shortcut. I don't take the shortcut because you won't be able to see. So if you group the selection, it won't give you all the responsive auto layout features that frame gives. But if you are designing a logo that you want to increase and decrease sizes based on the layout, you can use a group. But most of the time in UI, you are using uh, frame selection. So I frame the selection. I call this a button. And then I can give it a fill. Fill is this color. And in frame, we have option called auto layout. So you can add horizontal padding by clicking this, by putting a value here, and vertical padding by clicking this. And to make it nice, I will give cone radius as well. So this is the button. So we framed it inside the frame. So, and the component is something you create. So in software industry, we in front end specifically, we are using call it reusable components in React or any other front end JavaScript languages, or even uh, Angular, Vue.js, or anything, reusable components. So if we can create reusable components using Figma as well, it will be really easier for developers as well, specifically when it is under the rapid development process. So if you can, so if you give this button only for the developer, he will have to create the button for hover state, mouse over state, disabled state, and so on. So some people might do, what some people might do is they will change the fill for this one. Let's reduce the font size as well. This is our button. Okay, let's say this is our button. Some of the designers, what they do is they copy this and change the state. Let's say in mouse over, we want to have a much lighter blue color, not that much light, like this kind of a color. So in their design, they provide the developer with these two only. And if there's a disable button, let's say, they will provide this 50%, and also, so designer have to developer has to click each and every of these buttons, and even the designer himself have to copy each and every button when he is developing designing different states. For example, the button click layout would be look like this, the button hover layout will look like this, and so on. But if you create a component set by selecting all of these and create component set, you have a button component here. So then you can give it a state, different state. So this is the default state, and this is we can call hover state, and this is we can call disable. So what it does is so if you go to assets, you have that your button, and then if you go there, and you can use that reusable element anywhere in your design. So if you want to change the state, you can simply select what the state you want from your properties. So that is the component, and frame is what we do our design. It is kind of like a artboard, but it is responsive. So as a good practice, all of the UI UX designers who use in Figma use frame rather than use grouping, because it helps responsive designing, and it has so many features when comparing to group. Is it clear? Who asked the question? Purnima, is it clear? Okay, okay. So any more questions? Okay, if you have any questions, you can send a message on WhatsApp group chat as well. So I will try to answer. So then let's meet next week, 9 a.m. Try to do more designs during the week if you have time and update that Figma file as well. So have a nice day. See you next week.
Thank you, sir.